one of the best jobs in the world because I get to work with people who are fun, funny, energetic, creative, and insightful. They happen to be 14 to 18 years of age. I really do think kids keep a person young, and I think that's probably why when I'm in the presence of adults, I sometimes don't know how to act, so you'll forgive me. So, inspiring the students of the future, what really works? 37 years of teaching experience have taught me that two things are needed: research-based teaching techniques and relationship. Relationship is huge, but we'll talk more about that later. What I'd like to look at first are the techniques. I think probably most of us remember the teacher-centered classroom. This is probably what we're familiar with from our youth. You remember the teacher was up front and center. The students were in nice, neat rows, not allowed to talk to each other. And the teacher, the source of authority, downloaded information to the kids who regurgitated it back up on a test designed to measure how much content they could do. Now, I have to admit, I love lecturing, but my students don't always love it. It does not always inspire. So I was thinking, what really inspires? Years ago, I was doing lunch duty at school, standing in the lunchroom, being visible, watching kids go through the cafeteria line. And as I watched the kids going through the line, it occurred to me, they love having choices. And so I said to myself, maybe that would work in the classroom. Let the kids have choices. And so that's what I did. I converted my classroom to a situation where student choice was a big part of the room, along with 4 other seats.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Namaste. This is a how a student-led classroom has to be there. For that, we are sharing a video, so please go through it. Choice, collaboration, communication. And as Sir was saying, teachers, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So Sir was saying relationship is very, very, very important. Now, unless and until there is some personal relationship between you and the students, they won't listen to you. You have to open up a little bit. I think I have shared with other teachers who have been with us. Now, for the teachers who have been new, I'm telling that's very, very important. You have to. 1 second. Ma'am, class la irken, apra koopidren. So, you have to allow a bit of yourself. A personal self should be available to them. Like they should know what type of personality you are. And if they are able to relate to you, they will always remember things better. They will, you needn't tell everything about you to the children, but something about you has to be revealed to the children, which they think they value it. Okay. And that relationship is very, very important. And you have to be very sensitive to their mood changes. And you have to, okay, as I was saying earlier, 1 or 2 days if the child is not listening, okay, fine, you can give him that leniency. But if he is not listening continuously, there is something which he needs. So what you have to do is you have to take time off and try to find out what is the reason the child is not listening in the class, not participating, and make sure what you can do to make his life better. That is very important as a teacher to have the relationship. The other one is choice, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking and creativity. We know what is collaboration. Collaboration, sir will go on. Afterwards, we'll have the discussion.
Communication, critical thinking, and creativity. Actually, over 10 years ago, the National Education Association identified those last 4 C's on the list as essential 21st century skills that kids should learn, and I agree wholeheartedly. I've added choice to the top of the list, not as a skill for kids to learn, but rather as a characteristic of the classroom. By choice, I mean a situation where many learning activities are available to students, designed to meet the many diverse learning styles that they have. And the kids love it as much as they love choices in the cafeteria. Now, I think we're made for learning this way. Imagine our early hominid ancestors out looking for food. Don't you know that finding and tracking that woolly mammoth required critical thinking and problem solving? It definitely required collaboration, teamwork. I mean, you wouldn't want to do this by yourself. No way. And collaboration required communication. And then I imagine those people sitting around the campfire at night, reliving the adventures of the day's hunt. They must have had smiles on their faces when they were retelling the story of the hunt. And I know they smiled when they put those cave paintings up on the wall, because creativity is a uniquely human, pleasurable, satisfying activity. So I believe our brains are wired for the 5 C's. And since they're wired for the 5 C's, that authentic learning will happen when kids are allowed to engage in the 5 C's. And not just learning, but I think kids will enjoy a classroom setup like this and even be inspired in this way. Now, this requires a classroom setup based on the 5 C's requires a shift from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom. This requires the teacher to remove him or herself from front and center, becoming more of a guide on the side rather than a sage on the stage. This opens up opportunities to not merely teach, but to coach, to mentor, to nurture, and inspire. That's why I love it so much. Now, time out. It's important for me to mention these are not my original ideas. I stand on the shoulders of giants. Remember Plutarch? He said it a long time ago. The mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. And more recently, Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. All right, you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to get real goosebumpy for a minute.
Now, teachers, did you see that? He was talking about kind of how to shift the class from teacher-centered to student-centered. Now, student-centered method is very, very important. And what are the things which we have to do to make it a student-centered method? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I had my doubt whether I am in the line or I've left. Okay.
No.
So there are a few things which he is sharing. Okay. So he's saying there are so many activities. Generally, there are so many activities which we do, which makes it a student center. Can you name a few? Activities which can be done in social science, which is student led. Okay, I'll give you one example: debate, where they have to go research.
Role play, ma'am.
Role play,
Role play. Conducting seminars.
Seminars,
Webinars.
project,
Project.
Quiz, project,
Quiz.
group discussions. Very good.
Project-based learning, ma'am. Like doing some activities.
Project-based learning, art-based learning.
Album making.
Album making. Yes. So here are a few things which he have done, which is quite unique. Okay, so you can see
Very
to that.
Possible you would see some kids in a corner of the room with headphones on, watching a video related to the unit, writing out answers to questions there.
So that is also another method. So you can send a few videos and ask them to watch it and come, and then ask them to explain. Now, for example, what I do is, last time in the class I have done, I'll ask them to watch any one, what to say, judiciary lesson. Uma ma'am, do you remember? What was the, which video did I ask you to watch? YouTuber name? Do you remember?
Madan.
Very good. Madan Gauri. Very good. So Madan Gauri is a person who talks about a lot of criminal activities which is happening all around the world. So one of the cases I asked you to see and come back, and then we discuss. So you can ask the children to do that also. Go watch this video. Then we will have a discussion. From that we derive who is a suspect, who is an accused, who is a person, public defender, or a defense lawyer, who is a judge, who is a jury. Then if you discuss, they can relate well and remember well. Okay, so videos.
I'm sure you'll see students doing laboratory activities.
Now here he is actually basically he's teaching biology, so he is using lab. For us, it won't be involved. Okay.
You would probably notice some kids tending to their ongoing science fair projects. And I know for sure.
Now we can give projects, okay, various projects.
Sure, you would probably find a group of kids off in another corner around the game.
Nowadays, these educational games are available. Even for that matter, the bank or housey or trade, which we used to play, which used to have the places of a particular city. You remember we are supposed to roll the dice and go, and you can buy. Banking is taught through that. How is it called today? We used to call it as trade. Nowadays it's called in a different name. Anyone, any of your children have it?
Business game, ma'am.
Business game. Yeah, business game. Okay. Now, there also a lot of cities which are, or places or the towns or the areas available in a city is told there, and how money is multiplying, economics is taught through that. Okay, such educational games can be
designed to teach them. And you would likely see some kids doing some hands-on, minds-on simulations, learning about some other biological phenomena. I know you would see some kids off in the corner pulling out what
reflection sheet is nothing but a feedback. Okay. Now someone is in mute. Can everybody unmute? Someone is in unmute. Can everybody mute yourself? Yeah, thank you.
They're designed to get them to think about their learning, self-evaluate their efforts, take past knowledge and connect it to new knowledge. And there's one other activity on the menu that a lot of kids really enjoy. It's called arts and entertainment.
So now this is nothing but our art-based learning, okay? ABL.
The menu in every unit. And this is where the students take any concept they've learned in the unit and at home develop some kind of a project presentation and then present it to the rest of the class on the last day of the unit. Arts and entertainment. It has to be non-traditional. It's only limited by their imagination. So they can come in and perform a song, a skit, present a movie, present a model that they've built, poetry, any non-traditional way of demonstrating their knowledge of something they've learned in the unit. For example, these two young ladies in our biochemistry unit took it upon themselves to build a model of a chlorophyll molecule using gumdrops to represent the atoms. These two young ladies, they're sisters. They happen to decide to demonstrate in a very creative way the fact that they each inherited half of their genes from mom and half of their genes from dad.
You understood that? So it's a biology class. They are saying that they have inherited half of the genes from the mother and half of the genes from their father. So they have taken genes, real genes itself, and they have embroidered it and they have shown it. So it's an interesting way of showing things. Okay, so art-based learning can be anything. Can be, as he was saying, it can be a song or a poetry or a role play or a project or anything where the children will really enjoy. Okay, and as we know that experiential learning will really have a greater impact. And class discussions is a must. We should not continuously go on talking, and the others or the children shouldn't be just listening. So ideas for class discussion, I will show you another. Learn Act. Okay. When we are doing lesson plan, can we go into Learn Act, or you want me to do it now? Teachers, hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's audible, ma'am.
So you want me to do it now, or when I'm doing lesson plan, can I do that?
During lesson plan, we can see.
Okay. So
Yes.
then I'll come back here, because this will be easy. Class discussion, generally we do a lot. How many of you are very comfortable having a noisy classroom? Hello.
Not all the time, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
all the time.
Sorry.
Sometimes it's okay. But,
Okay. Sometimes it's okay. Okay. Now, Mritula ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what is the technique which you use to bring down the noise level? Because when there is a class discussion, naturally more than one student is going to answer, correct? So what technique do you use to bring down the noise level? I tell them to raise their hands.
Up
The
and
moment,
down. Yes, ma'am. Up and
no,
down.
I won't even say up and down. When I say raise, they know they have to close their mouths. They
Yes.
slowly understand. They fall into line in the beginning. When they come into my class, they won't immediately understand. They have to keep their hands up until their mouths are closed.
Yes.
Okay, so that technique I use. Okay, one of my technique. Okay. Now, actually, I start my class after 5 minutes only. I give them a break. I come, I clean the board, I write the topic. I want to write something on the board, I write. I draw the noisometer level. Noisometer is nothing but a straight line, and it has 3 indicators. One is low, second is medium, and third is high. So when the discussion gets heated up, and what happens is, first they will be talking to us. Slowly they will be starting discussing among themselves, because when it comes to civics, it's they are bubbling with energy. Okay, so then I'll go and draw the noisometer level has reached here. So the next class teacher is going to come and shout at us. So when I keep my point, my chalk over there, then they will come down. So that is also another technique which you can use.
Nice,
Anything
nice,
else?
ma'am.
Any case study? Now, case study is, we have to ask them to identify one character or one particular thing about what to say, a person, okay? And ask them to find out about that person, okay? And then we can talk about it also. Or in case study, you can ask them to go and watch movies like Tanakaran, or there are so many movies like that. Okay, so case studies you can say, take, and role play, well and good, all of us do it. Now, when we are doing role play, only one thing we have to ensure. What is that most important thing we have to ensure? Now, are we going to give activities for everybody, for all the classes? Is it possible for us to give activities like that? No, it's not possible. So what do we do is, we divide the class, okay? In the beginning itself, this is what I do. I don't know, people might vary. I divide the class into 6 groups. Okay, there are 40 children in our classes. So I divide them into 6 groups. So this lesson, group number 1 is going to do activity, and they can choose any activity of their choice. Okay, I'll tell them, you go through the lesson, you choose the activity, end of the lesson you have to present. Because if I am going to give all the 6 groups the activity, I don't have time for presentation. So I am, what to say, pressed for time. So what I do is, this is what I do, so that let us say in a month, at least 4 groups would have presented, because generally we complete 4 lessons. Per week, we complete 1 lesson. So 4 weeks, 4 lessons, and 4 groups would have completed. So within 1.5 months, all the groups would have presented. Everybody would have got a chance to come and stand in the center, and they would have participated in any one of the activities. This is what I feel is more practical. And I'm following it, and I'm able to, reach out to everybody also. Anybody else is doing anything else? Because all our CBSE is more into art-based activities. We have to include 1 activity per lesson. And I cannot ask everybody to do all the activities. Then they will be, every week we are doing 1 lesson. They will be only doing social science activities, and the parents will kill us, literally tear us into pieces. That is not going to help. So this is what I do. Yes, Shruti ma'am. Anybody else is doing anything else?
The remaining teachers will kill us, ma'am, when we give the activities continuously. We are ready to be asking them with full engaged, keep the mind engaged, but we will not have enough time to give, ma'am. We have to plan accordingly, according to the time.
Yes. Yeah, so that is the best way to do it. So please ensure that you are dividing the class in the beginning of the year. Starting of the year itself, you divide the children and say each lesson one of you going to do. And before starting the lesson, you group number 2, there are so many activities. You can do a role play, you can do a skit, you can do the creators, your own story, or you can create a poem, you can rap, you can find out. There are songs related to that. Find out, you can dance for it if your group is good at it. So you can, and allow them to choose partners of their choice also in the beginning, so that they will be happy working with, and ensure that our special children are part of every group. They are not put together, because then they will need a little more motivation, which we cannot be giving during the class hours. Okay, so ensure that they are divided and put into all the groups. Okay, so back here. So that's role play. And brainstorming also we always do. Now, when we are doing brainstorming, it is our duty to ask questions that initiates a talk in a positive way. Okay, for example, it is important to divide all the histories into periods and eras. Do you think it's necessary? How many of you agree to that? Is it important to divide all the history into periods and eras? Hello? That's a question.
For some lessons, no.
No, I'm asking. I'm talking about the history. This question is it important to divide all the histories into periods and eras? Do we need to divide them?
Yes, ma'am. Because for timeline, it will be useful.
Okay, that's one reason. Okay, anybody is disagreeing to that? So I disagree with it, because yesterday is history. Okay, so why should you divide? It needn't be divided. Everything is history, right from Stone Age till today. It's history. So why should we divide? It's not necessary. Everything is history. Long ago, longer than that. Can we tell it like that? Is it okay?
No.
No. Now, even in your life, we divide the life of a human being as infant, which is less than 1 year. Okay. Child less than 3 years, or children when they grow, or
Tamil, it is in different forms, ma'am. Urlai, kapu, like that.
Yes. So it is much easier in your teenage. If I say in your teenage what you did was, it's much easier to relate to. Okay, so what is the general tendency of a teenager, how we reacted to that, or how in the Stone Age it is the people reacted. It will be much easier if you have periods and eras like that. We can have and PPTs and videos, I have another video, but I'm not going to show it. I'll send that video to you. Okay, you can go and watch it. So with that, I have completed my methods of teaching history. Moving on to the next topic. Okay, lesson plan. When I'm saying lesson plan, okay, one second. So lesson plan, we have to anything when we are talking about doing without planning, it won't be effective at all. So lesson planning is very, very important, because we have, what are the first step for lesson planning? Anyone? What is the first step for lesson planning?
Learning objectives, ma'am.
Okay, learning objectives. Before that, you should understand what is your number of periods. Okay.
Then how many periods we are going in the month?
Okay,
how many periods we are going to do? Topic.
Very good. Topic.
What is the method we are going to use to teach the lesson? What is the methodology?
Okay.
What activity
now on the whole
for that lesson?
First we want to motivate. Understanding the students' level.
Very good.
Assessment.
Start with the motivation. Very good. Introduction.
Assessment.
Excellent. Stress busters. Assessment.
Student level. Understanding the student level, ma'am.
Excellent, honey ma'am. Without understanding your student level, you cannot start at all. Excellent. Now, before that, before even you go into a class, before even the children come, what is that first we have to look into for a lesson plan?
Preparation of.
Before preparing that, what should you have?
We have to plan, ma'am.
Time, ma'am. Time.
This lesson. What
Time.
method?
Okay, time. Thing. Time is excellent. You should know how many periods, as Uma ma'am said, how many periods you have. Like for example, we are going to have 6 periods per week. So we will have 4 weeks in a month.
We must have a plan.
And also the syllabus. So what is the CBSE recommending us to complete? What are we expected to complete? So that syllabus should be there. And based on that, course of study has to be there. Based on the course of study, we are going to plan the lesson. Okay. So syllabus, with the time, we have our course of study. So generally, we do that in the month of
April
itself.
April itself, we will complete.
Course of study. Now,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, so you have your course of study, and you have included all the lessons and which month has to be completed.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that you have done.
We have complete calendar for
Excellent.
day-wise, ma'am.
Yes, fine. That is very important. That is the first step. So you should have your course of study, which is based on the syllabus recommended to you, and which is based on the book which is recommended to you, and the time available. You have to divide it. Sometimes what happens is we get carried away and we will be living in one lesson. So we need that planning out. Yes. Okay. Now coming back. All the components you said. Okay. All the components of lesson plan you said. Basically, you need the name of the lesson, the date the lesson is going to be taught, the objective of the lesson, what is the lesson focuses on, and the material which you need to be using it for that, and a summary of all the activities which you are planning. Along with it, you should have an assessment plan. So why should we do? It helps the teacher to plan and execute the lesson, and it helps the students unbest nost. What does this mean? Anybody?
Pardon, ma'am? Ma'am, your
The
voice.
word. The word I'm showing. Are you able to see that? And it helps
Yes.
the students best nost to them to know the knowledge from the knowledge. Okay, the knowledge is taught to them or given to them. Okay, so it helps the students without even knowing you are teaching them. You are going to teach them that okay, the ma'am is giving me this knowledge without even telling that you are giving that knowledge. That's known as knowest. Okay, to them by ensuring that they receive an actual lesson with a beginning, middle, and an end end that aims to help them learn some specific things that they didn't know at the beginning of the lesson to practice and make progress in the specific thing. So basically, you have to teach the students without even telling that you are teaching, as if they are playing or as if they are it's part of their day-to-day life. It has to be taught. And to summarize, it's the basic term. A lesson plan is the teacher's guide for running a particular lesson. It's a guide which has a goal, and how the goal is going to be reached, that is the methodology. Goal is the objective, and how it is going to be reached is your methodology, and the ways of measuring is your assessment. So all these should be the component. Okay. And when you're selecting a lesson plan material, you should have the book, which textbook you're following. Now all of you follow the same kind of textbook, NCERT books. Is it the NCERT books which you all of?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Very good. So NCERT books are good books. Okay, so you can follow that itself. And a lesson plan must correlate with the textbook. That's the first main thing. And the school should select a book generally, and the teacher should ensure that it is followed. And the types of assignments, this is what I said. In the beginning of the year, you decide if it's a whole group assignment or a small group assignment, or it is going to be a workshop that is student-based, student-centered activity, or an independent work, or a peer learning. Peer learning is 2 minutes. Sometimes I do that. What I tell them is, I give an abbreviation. For example, well, how will you help them to remember the order of the Mughal emperors?
Ma'am, I will
Order
tell
of
you.
the, yes.
Babar.
Yes.
Next Humayun. In between Sher Suri, he is not commander Mughal emperor.
Okay, that's okay.
Then Akbar.
Akbar.
Okay.
After that, Jahangir.
Jahangir, Shahjahan.
Shahjahan.
Now from the beginning you tell, ma'am. Babar,
Humayun. And then in between Sher, you want Sher, ma'am?
No, Sheshasur is not necessary. Akbar,
Jahangir.
Jahangir,
Shahjahan. Aurangzeb.
Yes.
And then Bahadur Shah.
Bahadur Shah Zafar. Yeah.
Last emperor, last Mughal emperor.
So, and actually, this Bahadur Shah Zafar was not the last emperor. After that, there were around 20 emperors.
Bahadur Shah, first, second, third.
Not only that, there were different nobles who became the emperors in between, but Bahadur Shah Zafar at the end. Okay, so you ask them to learn it as Bahajash. So if you ask them to remember like this and give them time, you write this and tell your partner the same thing. You write it on your desk with a chalk, or take a classwork and write it, and then learn it and tell to your peer. That's a peer learning. Okay, so 2 minutes, you give them time to learn it and tell it to their partners, so they will never forget it. Okay, so that's peer learning. And contractual learning is where, as sir said, when you talk, I listen. When I listen, when I talk, you listen. That is a contractual work, as sir was saying it. So all these methods has to be taught. This has to be made as an agreement in the beginning. Make them like clear. This is a whole class, so you cannot go on talking among yourself. This is a small group. That's okay. You can talk among yourself. And here a child is talking in the center. All of us will listen. And here, independent work, absolute silence. You will do quietly. Here, peer learning, there will be noise, but the level has to be lower, because everybody is almost half the class is talking to their peer, so it has to be softer. And contractual work is, when I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen, or it can be whatever you are making an agreement with. If you are not submitting your assignment on time, I'm going to reduce mark, or anything, which all these has to be put in force when you are starting the class itself. Okay, that agreement should be there. Okay, that is before planning a lesson. Now, developing a lesson plan includes the title of the lesson, time required, whether it is 5 periods or 6 periods or 8 periods, and the list of required materials, whether you need a map or you are going to give them an assignment. If it's an assignment, how you are planning, is it going to be a group work or an independent work, and when are you going to tell them so that they can submit on time? Planning has to be written here. And list of objectives. When we are talking about objectives, you have to be very, very clear. You should understand the whole lesson. Okay, I'm coming to learn apps now. Okay. Now I was talking about one website. Okay, it's called as Learn Apt. Okay, I'll go back, and do you want me to open and show it to you how it will be from the beginning?
Once again, ma'am. Once again, repeat, ma'am.
LARN, learn, APT, Learn Apt. Okay, so if you Learn Apt is there, if you type like this, it will come. Okay, but you are supposed to sign in. You can, it's for free. You can sign in as a teacher. Okay, and sorry. Now, if you go into Learn Apt and choose a lesson, I'll show you how it will be in this beginning. Okay. Course page. Now it will be like this. Okay. So, which lesson you want to choose? Any lesson? I've taken history from 7th standard. This is 7th standard. This is 8th standard.
New Kings and Kingdoms.
Okay, you want New Kings and Kingdoms. I'm starting that lesson. If after choosing the lesson, you can go into that, and it will have concepts like this: how to do the introduction, and it has clear objectives. So when we are talking about the objectives, trace the pattern of political development and military conquest of the Gurjara Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas, the Palas, Shahamanas, and the Gazandivyas. Okay, now all these are the rulers who were ruling the medieval period, who are comparatively on the larger side. Okay, and develop an understanding of the connections between the political and economical process through which the exploration of one specific example is Chola. Now, how economic process, if you are economically strong, you are trying to prove yourself better, and your arts and people are happy in your country, economically they are strong, socially they are strong, then arts and architecture develops. Okay, so for that, we are going to take Chola as an example and explain it to them and illustrate how inscriptions are used to reconstruct story. This is the basic thing from which, or the 3 basic objectives which we are going to achieve in that lesson. And the themes is an outline of the political development. So basically what through that political development which happened between 700 and 1200, what are the changes which happened? And for that, they have taken the case study of Cholas, and especially in the Tamil region. And there is a comic strip which is presented for that. Okay. Now, if you want, you can use that also. If you don't want, you can, it's not necessary. This comic strip is shown as a story. Okay. You can ask them to enact it also. For enacting, they can use this as a script. Very easy for them. Okay. And key concept is what you have to really, like each paragraph, what is the content which is covering. So in the general, on the whole, it is between the 7th and 12th century, many new dynasties like Gurjara, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Chola, Chamanas emerged. And when they emerged, rich landlords, how did they emerge? Rich landlords or warriors, they were, Hiranyagarbha was, what is Hiranyagarbha? What are the methods they became used to become the new dynasties? And what are the administrative techniques they were using? Okay, and the taxes they were levying, and how they were building forts to ensure that they are protecting their own countries, and how do they collect information, how we collected information about these medieval period kings, new dynasties, is through precious and land grants. And what are precious and what are land grants? And this is what are the warfare which happened between, okay, and what are the things which led to the next kingdom, next biggest, like the new Delhi Sultans or the next kingdoms which came in. What are the things which led to that to happen? Okay, so that like that they would have clearly given. And for a closer look, they have taken Chola as a case study, and they have given from Urayur to Tanjavur, how they become a big empire, and how they started ruling not only in India but beyond India, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, how their naval fleet was so strong, and because they were so happily, how they started building temples, and what was so special about the Cholan bronze sculptures, and their agriculture and irrigation is supposed to be one of the best. So how did they do it, and administration techniques which they followed, that is Uru, Nadu, Nagaram, all that. So if you are able to cover this, otherwise you can say this is a key concept the child should know in this lesson. Okay, and there is a quiz which is available there. You can ask the children to take it, and there are other interesting facts which is not in the reader, but you can utilize this also. And dateline is like our timeline they used to give it. Okay, so Learn app is one thing which you can use, one of the what to say very useful app which you can use for writing your lesson plan. Otherwise, if you see that we have our lesson plans, I'll show you. After I finish this, I'll show you. We write it. When we are writing our course of study itself, we complete or we cover all the all these things. Like we will write our objectives, we write the materials, or what are the activities which are we going to include for that lesson, and how many periods which is needed for that. All that we write it clearly. We write it in the course of study itself. So it's easy for us to prepare our lesson plans. Okay, and what are the things which you are going to use? Okay, like basically what the lesson is going to focus on, and at the end what the child would have learned. Okay, and this sequence in which that this is nothing but the methodology which you are going to use, whether you're going to use a video or a role play to teach this concept. Okay, and individually this is nothing but the assignments which you are going to planning to give, and then you should have an evaluation or assessment assessment methodology. It can be a simple quiz, or it can be a multiple choice question which you are giving in any of your apps, or you can ask questions and ask them where they stand. A few of them would have understood, a few of them would have learned along with you. So you can ask questions also, or open book test. Simple. You ask them to identify it and write the please, who is in unmute, mute yourself. Hello. Yeah, thank you. So assessment techniques which you are going to use, evaluation techniques, you can say that also. And basically what, as an arrow which goes forward only after pulling it backwards. Bullet goes forward after you are pressing the trigger backward. Every human being will be happy only after facing the difficulties in your path. So do not be afraid to take your difficulties, face your difficulties, and then push yourself forward, because that's very important. Writing a lesson plan is really hard, but once you write the lesson plan, it's going to be really helpful for us, because you just have to look into that and get ready for the now. How often do you write your lesson plans? Once a week or once a month?
Once in 15 days.
Twice in a month. Once in a month. Twice in a month. So we do once in a month. So once in a month, if you sit and write everything down, then after that you just have to take and keep it. So that is going to be helpful. So tell me, I forget; teach me, I remember; and involve me, I learn. That's the quote commonly used. So when we are talking about the lesson plans, the paces which are involved is, any one of you can read? Swarnalata ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. I will read, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Phase one introduction. Set up purpose. Describe the overarching reason for this lesson. Introduce the key concepts, topic, main idea. Get students on the right track. Set step maybe a note on the board, a diagram or a probing questions of the day's lesson focus.
That's
Pull
very, very
students
important.
into the excitement of learning. See.
Yeah, that's very, very important. What you have
students' attention.
To do, 1 second. Always write the main ideas on the board, okay, so that they will remember it. They keep looking at it, and they will, what to say, it goes inside their mind multiple times. Multiple times they are looking into it. So keywords, at least only the keywords you write. Okay. Yes.
See students' attention with items like an amazing fact, a funny quick, a challenge or other mind trickler.
Ticklers. Now, nothing but you crack a joke in between, then people will be happy. You play a game in between, they will be excited. So you have to pace yourself. You cannot go on talking. Okay. So anyone else continue reading? Surya sir.
Shall I
make the learning?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Read sir.
This one, lesson plan phases. Phase one.
No. Here sir. Make the learning. Make the learning relevant.
Make the learning relevant. Explain how this lesson extend past learning and leads to future learning. That is significance of the concept, skill, and focus of the lesson.
So how past learning is very important. There they start understanding. Okay.
Check
who started?
previous knowledge. Verify.
Yes, sir. Continue, sir. Finish.
Can I continue?
Yes, sir. Continue.
Verify
continue,
what student already know. Clarify the key points. Double check on learning from the past. Focus on the specific standards, objectives, and goals. Link the lesson to standards and let students know exactly what they will know and be able to as result of this lesson.
Very good.
Check
Thank
the
you, sir.
Correctness and add. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, somebody else started. So what you have to do is you should tell them what you're going to teach, what they will learn at the end of the day and end of the lesson. You have to keep telling that. And key points has to be, every time key points has to be gone back and come. Okay, reinstated to them. Yes. Somebody started in between. Yes, ma'am.
Shall I, ma'am?
Please continue.
Shall I?
Yes, ma'am. Any one of you read.
Check for correctness and add to background knowledge. Add extra information for the day's learning and beyond, just enough to launch into the main lesson. If anything related, if you are talking about judiciary, anything you know, recent cases, that we can start. We can
Very
start.
good.
We can start. Anybody knows anything. Do you know about judge? Who is the Supreme Court judge?
Real life examples, ma'am. Real life. What is?
It is one of the organs of the government. First we can
Excellent. Excellent, ma'am.
Introduce key vocabulary. Before, one day before, if you are going to take the lesson tomorrow means, we can give them, please see to that, the hard words which you find. Find the meaning of that.
Sorry to differ here, ma'am. I don't believe in giving the words one day before, because if they know the meaning and come, as I was saying, for me to make them understand conceptually is very, very important. Okay, learn the meaning and come, they'll forget it, ma'am. Absolutely, they'll forget it. That's not going to help.
Out of 10 students, at least one may see one or two words.
No, I'm telling you, they will see and come. Because they love you, they're going to see that and come. They will not remember it, ma'am. So if you're going to teach them in such a way that they will remember the words, then they will, it will be permanently in their active vocabulary. And I don't want them to know the meaning before I teach them, because as I was sharing, my way of teaching the words is slightly different from what is given in the exact, dictionary meaning. Conceptually, they should understand. So it is your way of doing. I appreciate it, but I differ from it. I don't like it, because I feel when you learn a word conceptually, okay? So for example, the arbitrary which we were discussing yesterday, if that word is told anywhere, they will understand it, clearly, okay? So if the word is, the conceptual understanding of the word is there, they will never forget it. So introduce a key vocabulary, that has to be done. How you are going to do it, you decide it. And after that, write it on the board and ask them to write it as a flow chart also, fine. That is fine, okay? But
here comes controversial.
yeah, I know. You, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Continue, ma'am. How do you feel it has to be done? You tell them to read the meaning and come?
Yes.
Okay. I feel the thrill of understanding the word through a concept is lost. So I don't go with it. Okay. So I ask them to dig about the content. Okay. The story about a particular person and come, you narrate the story. That is okay. But the words has to be taught conceptually. That's my, what to say?
Ma'am, not for 8th standard. Not for 8th standard. Only for 6th standard. Adun that to beginning of the year.
Okay. Okay, now that's your choice, ma'am. If you feel that is making them like go through the book once at least, you are happy about it.
Just see the book where the lesson is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're happy about it, please continue doing it. It's nothing wrong in it. This is my belief. That's all. That's all I'm saying. See, why, let us say, Gandhi or Buddha or Jesus were so, what to say, powerful about this words they said is because they believed in it. Okay. If you believe in something and do, and the person opposite to you will understand, okay, or even not even, you don't have to open your mouth and say, I strongly believe in it. Okay. If you have a doubt in it, I'm sure I'm saying all of you would have felt, okay, ma'am is not strong in this area. Ma'am is strong in this area. You would have felt it. You needn't, your brain wouldn't have told you verbally that, but they will understand. So if you strongly believe this method is going to help, please follow that method. Nothing wrong in it. Okay. But I don't believe in it, so I don't do it. Because if you do anything which you don't believe, children will sense it. Because human beings have that highest sensible, especially children have the highest sensible sensors. Okay. So they will sense it and they will not follow, because they know you are not very strong about it. You are not strongly believing in that. Okay. So anything you strongly believe, do it with convention. Children will be happy to follow you. Okay.
Brain activation. Ask questions to clarify ideas and to add knowledge. Engage students in the learning and build background with probing questions. We can
probing
ask
questions. Probing questions. True. Yes.
Yes. By start like ice breaking.
Not only icebreakers. Even for discussion, brainstorming, you can ask questions and ask them to make them think in the line you want them to think. Okay, questions has to be probing. Yes, ma'am.
Brainstorm main ideas. Fill students' heads with ideas, concepts, possibilities, allow them to expand and clarify their thinking. We have to allow brainstorm main ideas means we have to allow them to think about that lesson
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, with ideas. Anything.
Yes, ma'am.
It may, we are having some ideas. He may think in another way also.
Yeah, yeah. Perspectives differ. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any clarification.
Yes, ma'am. If they have
Clarify
a
and
doubt
correct
also.
misconception. If anybody misunderstood the concept, we have to clarify. Not like that. This is the method we have to follow. This is
Very
the
good.
main concept or main theme of the lesson.
Very good. Super.
Engage
Excellent.
students that will inform you as whether students are confused or somebody would have confused with the idea of that lesson.
Yeah.
They may, with the title, they misunderstood that lesson. That we have to correct it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, anybody else wants to read?
Shall I read, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Body of new information. Provide teacher input, lecture, or any key points and new information. Read the text or articles and solve problems. Present the body of the lesson. This may be a whole class lecture, a small group activity with teacher supervision, or a partner activity with teacher supervision. The learning is active. Yes, ma'am.
So this is very simple. So you have to decide whether it is a lecture method or a small group method or a pair method or an individual activity. That's all. Clarification.
Provide time for practice and review. Allow student time to practice under supervision. You and the, sorry, ma'am. Fifth one, clarification. Shall I read clarification?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Check for understanding with sample problems, situations, questions. Have students practice with the information just taught. Guide the learning.
Very good. Independent practice. Ma'am? Hello?
Next. Yes, ma'am. Shall I?
Yeah, independent practice. Here, ma'am, independent practice.
Yes, ma'am. Wait. Supervised student independent practice. Select additional strategies for small groups of students who still do not get it. Other students may begin to work independently with the final goal being that all students can work on their own. This practice prepares students for successful homework and it prepares them for future learning.
Excellent, ma'am. Closure. Anybody else? Closure. Very important part of the lesson.
I'll read, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, read.
Phase 8, closure. Bring the lesson to closure. Link the lesson phases and information together. Summarize the learning of the day and discuss how it fits into the big vision of learning. Have students they know and can do by writing a brief note to hand in as they leave. The note may include questions, problems, or ideas on the learning. Alternatively, they may write in their journals or explain their understanding to a partner.
Yeah, so basically closure is very, very important. How every time you have to relate to the objective as well as the overall objective. Why we are teaching history, why we are teaching civics. See, this is how you are going to understand the society like that, okay? So additional considerations for planning great lesson plans is attention span. You have to think how long the attention span of your children is going to be, and complexity of the materials, how long it requires for the children to understand that, and decisions concerning whether it is a whole class or a small group repeatedly. That is what you have to decide in the beginning. And the best configuration of student groups for optimal learning, for example, is a homogeneous and heterogeneous ability. Generally, we are having a heterogeneous ability group. We don't have only And do you divide your class students, like all the good learners in one class, all the average learners in another class, and need help in another class?
No, ma'am.
No. Generally in
No.
India, we have a heterogeneous group. So you have to be very careful when you are planning. We should not go too beyond your text also, but you have to go beyond the text for the great achievers. And you have to, the key concept has to be taught again and again for the special children. Okay, so you have to give or teach for both the categories, and activities that best facilitate the learning of each student, that also you have to plan. And pre-assessment of the skills and background knowledge should determine what students already know, that is from known to unknown. Somebody said that. And selection of regular and supplement materials to augment the learning, and strategies for frequent monitoring and adjusting. That is very, very important. You have to say, I have planned it, I have to complete this. You cannot go it. According to the necessity, you have to change your plan. And after the lesson, very important is appraisal, is checking whether the group has learned, whether they have at least the whole lesson they wouldn't have learned. Already they have, at least they have learned the main concept for us. Or whether they will, if they go back to that lesson on their own, will they be able to handle it? If you go through that, then it will be the greatest. And 7 important things that a teacher should need to be a successful thing is, she should have high expectations. We should have a high expectations on our own self as well as on our children. Okay, and you should be very creative for an effective classroom, and you have to continuously grow in your profession, vary your instructional technique. As I always say, don't give them varieties. Variety is a very important spice to make your food or teaching very interesting, and apply effective classroom management. As I said, the discussions are having, it might go unruled, but you have to, at times, every time you have to say that you are the queen over there who have the control. Don't give the control totally to them, then we lose them also. And be transparent. See, I don't know, you can tell them. I am happy about it, you tell them. So you have to be transparent with the students and tell them how you are going to assess them also. That is very, very important. How you are, on what basis you are assessing them, tell them. And truly believe in your students, and tell them, don't ever tell the children that they cannot do it, because all children are capable of doing it. And what you go on saying again and again, they become that. Okay, so please truly believe in that. Truly believe that your students can succeed. Okay, and for effective lesson plans, know the content. Yes, subject knowledge has to be there. We have to spend time for learning and understand how the students are learning or developing of the students, and understand there are different kinds of students, and cater to them, and plan a strategic lesson plan using the latest techniques. There are so many things which are available. Use it, and use multiple assessments. Don't, only a few children cannot stand up and talk in the class, but if you give them a question paper, they will do better. Or there are people who cannot write, who can say it. So use various techniques to evaluate them, and create a suitable learning environment where they are happy. Basically, they are happy. And good planning always keeps the teacher and the students on the track, and help them to achieve the objectives, and avoid unpleasantness. And it gives a roadmap, and there is a end of the tunnel. You will be looking at it. Okay, that vision should not go away from it, and provides direction, encourages reflection, refinement and improvement, and enhances student achievement. If you are not planning, then there will be aimless wandering, unmet objectives, no connection to the prior learning. Now, this is where we are very, very important. As a facilitator, you have to tell them how to connect to the previous lessons. Okay, and there will be disorganization. You don't know what to do. There's a lot of wasting time and poor management. So basically, ABL is another method, activity-based learning or art-based learning. Now it is changed as art-based learning. It's very important, because as we know that if they do it, they will never forget it. Okay.